Welcome and thank you for joining us for the second half hour of The Factor Uncensored. A fashion and modeling industry giant is now facing charges for sex trafficking. An ex-Abercrombie Fitch CEO, Mike Jeffries, was arrested this week in Florida. You see him there. His partner and an employee were also arrested. All three are accused of luring young men into sex parties held around the world, sometimes promising those men modeling jobs. The 16-count indictment, unsealed by federal prosecutors in New York, alleges the men used fraud and coercion to exploit their victims, reportedly giving them alcohol, muscle relaxers, and drugs during the parties. Many say they were also threatened and forced to sign non-disclosure agreements. All of this comes as allegations of sexual abuse have speeding into the music world. As we've reported, Sean Diddy Combs faces lawsuits from 7 new accusers just this week. Houston attorney Tony Busby says his firm is already representing 150 accusers in lawsuits linked to the mogul. Joining us to talk about it tonight, attorney Bayoji Akingwala, trauma therapist Chow Win, and human trafficking survivor Matilda Saragosa. Glad to have you all here on The Factor Uncensored. Should we be surprised by these high-profile, powerful men taking advantage of individuals for sex?
Well, we've seen it time and time again. We might be shocked hearing about the details and the allegations surrounding P. Diddy and now the CEO, former CEO of Abercrombie, but it's shocking still, right, to hear that all these victims, and in the case of the Abercrombie Fitch case, we're talking about male survivors. And we're looking at dates that go way back. Why? Because a lot of times survivors don't even show up and go to authorities because there's so much shame and secrecy, and they're wondering if I did something wrong. There is a lot of trauma these survivors endure. And I know a lot of people in your community, in the television community, might watch this and think, well, maybe they're making this up. But I can tell you, only 2 to 9% of all cases are reported to be false rape cases.
2 to 9%.
2 to 9%.
That's a small percentage.
Very small. And then think about the number of cases that go unreported. Right.
Matilda, your thoughts on this when you have individuals like in this most recent case with Abercrombie and Fitch, males.
Right.
What's your experience in them not coming forward, not telling their story, not reporting it to law enforcement?
I would say, just like she shares, shame and guilt. A lot of that has to do with a lot of individuals haven't come out and let others know that they are in this lifestyle period. And then you have those that are just facing these circumstances and don't want to face any criminal charges. They have the shame of having to share their story with other people and being judged and stigmas being placed on them. So there's a whole lot that could be involved with them not wanting to come out and tell their story.
Now, when we talk about the legal aspect of this, and we're talking about a different country with the most recent case because they're in England, but they will still face prosecution, and we just heard about that. We read about that. And when you see individuals who are this powerful taking advantage, what goes through their mind in talking to those who have been accused? Because you were a prosecutor before, a criminal defense attorney. Do they see what they're doing? Do they lose, a grasp on reality?
I don't think there's any difference between someone who is a celebrity versus someone who's an average Joe who you see in the state courts, because, and I actually use my spiritual beliefs when I'm practicing my criminal defense. And the Word of God says that the heart of a man is desperately wicked. Who can know it? And so I think if someone's not submitted to the authority or the love of God, they can give themselves to do very wicked things. And the only difference between someone who might be an average Joe Schmo or someone who's a CEO of a company is that they have access to resources. And that sometimes can make a problem even more exponentially worse compared to what we see on the state level.
Do you think there are a lot of payoffs with both of these individuals before it became public?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, reading the indictment, it's alleged that after these sex parties that these alleged victims were paid off thousands of dollars and then were made to
And we're
sign,
talking about Abercrombie now.
yes, in the Abercrombie case, and were made to sign non-disclosure agreements. Now, with respect to the defense that might be raised, one of the allegations is that it's compelling human trafficking, and human trafficking involves coercion. And you know, traditionally, when you think of human trafficking, you're thinking of underage children, you're thinking of marginalized communities like immigrants. But here we're talking about strapping young males, and that might be hard for certain jurors to wrap their mind around. How is this young man supposedly coerced? And so that might be something that might play into the hands of the defense.
Well, they were dangling that carrot saying you will become a model in our company if you go along with us. Go ahead.
And so what you hear, the other common thread is these are perpetrators, celebrity or not, they're perpetrators. They groom their victims. They are out to exert their power and control.
Absolutely.
And at the heart of this is about men who are exerted their power and control as perpetrators against innocent
In the last
victims.
30 seconds, you made an important point in the Diddy case that all of this case, a lot of this happened after Me Too.
Another
After
shocking thought.
the world warned you.
Right.
We're not going to put up with this anymore.
The good news is accountability after Me Too is swift and harsh, right? And that's what we're seeing. P. Diddy is still behind bars. This case, this Abercrombie case, goes way back to 2005, and it's now surfacing. So hopefully we're going to see more accountability in the wake of Me Too, which happened in 2018. That was 8 years ago.
All right. We want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Still ahead tonight, we continue the conversation on trafficking, but shift our focus to the Houston area. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Alleged human trafficking operations hiding in plain sight right here in Houston. The worst kept secret in Houston. 9 bars and clubs have been shut down following a massive raid carried out by the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission on Friday. So far, 4 arrests have been made and 84 victims have been identified. According to my next guest, this has been a long time issue. Like I said, worst kept secret. Joining us to talk about it, human trafficking survivor Matilda Saragosa and Harris County Precinct 1 Human Trafficking Director Kathy Griffin-Grignon. Glad to have you both here on The Factor. You guys knew about this area forever.
Yes.
Why didn't anyone do anything about it? Why didn't anybody say anything about it? Why weren't there any red flags raised?
Well, back in the day, they were just those prostitutes. And
so there's a different mindset now. It went from prostitutes to human trafficking victims.
but they was calling them other words, them garden tools.
Them hoes.
Yeah. They were calling, you know.
Almost made me say that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like being canceled.
Yeah,
Not
we ain't gonna
today.
cancel you today. But this is just the tip of the iceberg for these clubs, because I'm not able to speak on these 9 establishments that we have known for decades that this was going on. But it's going on in so many clubs in this town, and it's not just cantinas and ice houses. We're talking about the club. We're talking about even the strip joints. I don't care how high class they are, to the ones that's in the back room. This has been a travesty. I've been shouting from the rooftops ever since you met me about this issue. And unfortunately, I was always told we don't have enough officers to handle these cases. And just like you got this large number of victims here, you know, there haven't been a lot of Kathy Griffins and Matildas and Miss Levines and those people.
And really quick, Matilda, you know what those types of clubs are like from your past experience. What is it like?
Absolutely. So I live down the street from these particular clubs, and these have been topics of conversations for many years. I've been approached by some of the club owners asking if I would be interested in coming in, being a Hispanic population, being able to speak Spanish. But of course, I was in my addiction, so I prefer to be outside. But what goes on in these clubs is you have a lot of undocumented citizens that are coming, well, not citizens, undocumented immigrants coming in, and they are utilizing and using them to host these gentlemen that are coming into these cantinas and having them service them in the back rooms. Some are kept by force, some are coming in voluntarily. Some want to be barmaids, get the tips, have sex for prostitution, and then of course you have those that are being forced into sex trafficking in the back, which they don't have a place to live. So, in a sense, they're just capitalizing on the fact that these people don't have nowhere else to go. And this has been ongoing for a long, long time. It's very well hidden. It's quietly kept. We've had individuals come out from the male perspective telling us about the sex that they've had in these cantinas, and we still haven't had anything done about it. We've had asked, just like Kathy raised the question and said, we've been told that there's not enough law enforcement that can deal with it.
And of course, in the last 30 seconds we have here, Kathy, what does law enforcement need to do to get a handle on this, or could they ever get a handle on this? The reality of it.
They could get a handle on it, because I'm not trying to call anybody out, but we have dog parks and we have bike trails and we have all of these things, but we can't place victims in beds. It's ridiculous. And we're so overpowered. And the one thing that I want to get in here real quick is so many men have been sexually abused and trafficked, and it's like the public does not want to believe this, and they were not just gay men. And the most reported population of the transgenders, and the torture and the trauma that these individuals have gone through, as well as the children and the ones that aged out of foster care, and just even in the woods and the lands and the hills and the plantations. I'm just saying.
I believe, but you threw me off with that.
It's everywhere.
Now you're going to sing the sound of music. The hills have eyes.
Yeah.
Thank you all for this important topic, and keep doing what you're doing, because I know you guys are out there in the trenches helping people get their lives back together.